through the night and morning, when the rain is pouring, you're the one I'm calling.
Hi, Tiffany. Welcome back to my treasure hunt. How are you? How have you been? It's been so long. I've missed you. Today we have a video where I'm going to be talking about Halloween recommendations, and specifically, I'm going to talk about horror books that I own that I've given 5 stars to. Okay, this isn't all of the horror books I own that I've given 5 stars to, but it's a lot of them. I think I might do a part 2 if you guys really want me to. Spooky season, she's upon us. She's here. Welcome. I want to be spooky with you, Tiffany, and I mean that from my heart to yours. We have so many books to get to, but I also wanted to mention that I have so many different hobbies that I'm trying, that I'm getting into, including bullet journaling. I used to be like a huge bullet journal girly, and then as the depression kind of kicked in, I kind of lost it, and for years I have been trying to get it back. I really want to put the work into it, and that's where today's sponsor, Skillshare, comes in. On Skillshare, I have been taking so many classes, and this one is about bullet journaling. It's called Bullet Journaling, Life Management for Creatives. And I know what you're thinking, Tiffany. You're like, do you really need somebody to like teach you how to like bullet journal? It's not even just that. The instructor has ADHD, and she talks about her process and her life and like her struggles. And as she was talking, I was literally like, why are you literally me? What do you mean? Like, I don't have ADHD, I have depression. Hi. But she was talking about like the inability to like get started to do something. Do you know what I mean? And I struggle with that so much. Like, I even struggled with it today. I was like, I'm ready to do it. I want to do it, but I cannot do it. Bullet journaling and her other systems have helped her tame down, to help her procrastination, to help her executive function. I think it might be, and I know that this is like kind of crazy, but I think it might be my favorite class I've taken so far. Skillshare is the largest online community for creatives. You go on Skillshare, you look up your little things, and you find a class, and you get to learn, okay? You get to better yourself and your habits and your hobbies. Like, I've said this so many times. There's a class on Skillshare for literally every single person. Like, there's a class for anything, okay? Productivity, science, art, like filming, like graphics, like anything you can think of, it's on Skillshare. Recently, they've started this like new thing. Now have smarter class categories. It's easier to navigate, and it's easier to find what you're looking for. You literally just need to like answer a few questions, and the software will magically, I don't know how it works. I'm not a scientist. It'll recommend you things based on like your goals, based on what you want to see, based on your hobbies, etc., etc. Skillshare is also, just so you know, at your own pace. I started this bullet journaling class a few days ago. I'm slowly getting into it. I'm like a few classes in, and there's no rush. Nobody is like at the door hounding me for finished projects. You can go your own pace as you're learning on Skillshare, as you're taking classes, as you're exploring, really. With spooky season upon us, I feel like this is like the perfect season for learning. The first 500 people to use the link in my description to sign up for Skillshare get their first month for free. The first 500 people get their first month free. It's such a good deal. And I want you to take full advantage of it, okay? I want you to get out there. I want you to start making cheese, starting a bullet journal. I want you to start really like going into your creative process and like taking classes and learning how to be the best version of you. You're already perfect, but like, what if you were even more perfect? I think it would just lead, honestly, to world domination. The first 500 people to use my link get the first month of Skillshare Premium for free. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I have 27 different horror novels to talk to you about. So let's try to make this quick because I don't want to be sitting here for hours. The only way to begin is by beginning. The first book I have is The Watchers by A.M. Shine. This is one of my favorite books. If you know me at all, you know that I'm obsessed with this book and I love it so much. And the fact that the movie was absolute ass is infuriating. I did a whole video where I reread this and then I watched the movie. The way that I was so disappointed, but the book is so good. This is about this woman named Mina. Mina's the type to sort of like have a job, but also kind of do like side hustles on the side. When her friend is like, hey, can you deliver this bird to this person at this place? Mina's like, hell yeah, dude, that's easy money. So Mina takes this bird and she gets in her car and she's driving. And things are fine. Things are fine until Mina's car breaks down. And Mina, with this bird, is like, what the actual F is going on here today? And Mina's like, whatever. I'll figure something out, whatever. Her cell phone has no reception, but she's like, I'm gonna sleep in my car and then tomorrow we'll figure it out. Tomorrow comes. And she's like, this is weird. Like, my car won't start. I have no way to communicate with anybody. And then she also hears someone screaming in the forest. So there's like the road and then there's like a forest. Mina hears someone screaming in the forest. What does Mina do but get out of her car and walk into that fucking forest with the bird? I'm not gonna say anything else, but it's crazy. It's crazy. This book will keep you on your toes. The movie will piss you off. I also want to talk to you about The Dumb House by John Burnside. This could be literary fiction / horror, maybe more literary fiction, but I kind of see it more as horror because it's horrifying. This is about this guy who's like a sociopath. He's like a psychopath basically. And I think he would admit to that because in the beginning of the book, he admits to killing his twin children. He's like, listen, those twins, they had to fucking die and they know why. We know that this man is interested in a story that his mother told him when he went to bed as a child. The story goes that there's this prince, and this prince is interested to learn if language is inherent. So this prince is like, you know what? I have all this money, I have all of these resources. Let me just find this answer. Let me just figure this out. So he collects a bunch of newborn babies. He puts them into what he calls a dumb house, which is basically like this huge sort of room where the babies are cared for by deaf and mute nurses. Having heard this story as a child, our main character, our protagonist, is also interested in that question and in larger questions too. Questions like, what is the meaning of life? What does a soul look like? Things like that. And he will do anything to uncover those truths, including kill his own children. It's crazy. It's disturbing. I haven't read it in many years, but I do remember loving it and being horrified. We have a few little novellas. I also want to talk to you about Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. I don't know about you, Tiff. I see this book and my heart falls deep into my asshole. Deep. This is a horror novella about a mother. Mama, she lost her son a year ago. A year ago, her son died. She is grieving. It's almost like it's a permanent state. She can't get out of it. And everyone in her life is like, we understand you're going through something, but at the same time, it's like life has to go on. Our main character, the mother, whose name is Chris, she can't move on. And things are made worse as well when she starts to make deals with something that seems to be her son, something that she thinks is her son. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil anyone. The ending of this book, bro, I can't. I also have Waif by Samantha Kolesnik. This is weird. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna pretend with you, Tiffany, that this isn't like a freaky deaky novel. This is freaky deaky. Somebody said write lines and Samantha Kolesnik heard change lives, okay? She did something with this. This is about a woman named Angela. Angela is married to this dude. Their marriage is like fine. It's whatever. Angela is at the grocery store one day and she sees this guy who's like crazy hot and she instantly like falls in love, and she does her best to like start a conversation, to be like, oh my god, I dropped these pickles or something like that. They talk momentarily. And from then on, Angela's obsessed. She can't get enough of this man. She thinks that this man and her are meant to be. She wants a taste of his lollipop. Do you know what I mean? Angela's husband finds out that she's been kind of like obsessing over this guy. And her husband is like, okay, that's kind of fucked up. What's wrong with my face? You don't like my fucking face? What's wrong with my face? And she's like, nothing, baby. Your face is gorgeous. And her husband is like, no, it's not. I'm gonna get plastic surgery so that they look exactly like this guy. And I can't even describe to you the rest of this book, okay, Tiffany? Because it's insane. But I absolutely loved it. It's horrifying. I read this book, I think like 2 years ago at this point, but I recently bought it because I saw it at the bookstore and I was like, this is my opportunity. And that is Laws of the Skies. I haven't even hauled this yet. I literally bought it yesterday. This might be the most fucked up book on this list. It says that this is like Winnie the Pooh meets the Blair Witch Project. In my opinion, it's more like Battle Royale, but if it was just like 6-year-olds. This is about a little class going on like a field trip out into like the wilderness for like a camping trip or something. They're like in the first grade, okay? They're all going out there. There's like 3 adults and then like 20 kids or something. Kids get out there and everyone's having fun. Oh my God, we're out camping. And except there's one kid. There's always one kid who's like a little bit different from everyone else. There's this one kid who kills a snail by like stepping on its shell. The shell like breaks and then kills the snail or the slug, I guess. And everyone is kind of like, even the kids are like, what the fuck, dude? Like, who invited Tommy? Tommy's fucked, dude. And they have good reason for it because all of these children, all of these people go out into the wilderness and none of them will come back alive. I talked about this in my favorite horror of, I think, 2022. I cannot get over how absolutely devastating it is. It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. You have no idea. Reading the ending as well. No, there's certain books where I don't think I'll ever get over it, and that's one of them. Next up, I have Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. I'm not a huge Stephen Graham Jones kind of girl, but I do think his books are okay. This one, I really, really, really enjoyed. I know that some people don't like it because they're like, oh, it's not what you think it is. It doesn't have to be, but whatever. This is about mannequins. That's the thing. I don't even want to say what it's about because I went into it not really understanding, but being interested. When I finished it, I was like, I'm glad I didn't understand or know what the fuck I was getting into. So I'm gonna do the same thing for you. I'm gonna tell you that you should probably read this if you haven't, because it's really good, in my opinion. I really liked it. It's my favorite, I think, of Stephen Graham Jones's books. I also want to recommend you The Forgotten Island by David Soder. I did a whole reading vlog where I read only David Soder. It might be one of my favorite videos on my channel because it was just such like a good reading week for me. But this book, you think it's like, oh, cute, funny, like slashy, It's so much worse. This is about this girl named Anna. Anna goes to Thailand with her sister and her sister's boyfriend. They're in Thailand, they're having a good time, they're partying, whatever. The night after their big party, Anna and her sister are on this boat on their way to this island that's been forgotten. And there was something on the island that's not great. David Sodergren's books are some of the goriest books you will ever read. And the death scenes, beautiful, awe-inspiring. There were so many moments of this where it was like an audible sort of like, what the fuck is going on kind of energy. I'm mad at myself for how long it took me to read just this book and just David Sodergren in general, because I was missing out that entire time. Another David Sodergren, Night Shoot, also stunning, about a girl at like a night shoot. They're filming like this like class film project thing, and things go horribly wrong when something in the house that they're filming in sees them, finds them. I don't want to say too much, but again, some of the most horrifying, goriest shit I've ever read about. So good. This is one of my favorite books, and I didn't realize that people were so like up in arms about it. Like, I didn't realize so many people were like, oh, I didn't really like that much. What do you mean? Then what do you like, huh? Cyanide and like rainy days? Like, why are you such a party poop? I'm talking about Near the Bone by Christina Henry. The way that I'm obsessed with this book, and I love it so much. Maybe I need to like reread it to like reevaluate whether I still love it or not. Just the vibes I have now from like my memory of when I read it. I loved it. This is about Maddie, who lives on this snowy mountain with her husband. Her and her husband like forage or do whatever to like live or whatever. Maddie is content, I suppose, except for her husband, whose name is Robert, I think. His name is William. William is physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive towards Maddie. So he's what the French would call le garbage. What makes this even worse is like Maddie is here with her abusive husband, but then also there might be some kind of monster on the mountain that's killing people. It's not great. I think it's set in the Appalachia. I think everybody feels this way, but I especially feel like if I like a book and somebody else doesn't like that book, that just means that they have bad taste. I know that that's like the wrong opinion to have, because like that's like, oh, like that would mean that you think that you have like all the right answers. And like, yeah, I do. Does anybody else feel that way, or is it just me? Because I feel that way all the time. I need to talk to you about this guy, this book. I think it honestly might be my favorite of his work. That is Cold Moon Over Babylon by Michael McDowell. You know. You know, Tev, how much I'm obsessed with Michael McDowell. Like, it doesn't get better than this. This is about Margaret Larkin. Margaret is on her bikey bike, riding back home when she is murdered. By the way, Margaret is like 14. Margaret's just a young girl. Margaret is like thrown into the fucking river, dead, for like the fish to eat. And then Margaret's family is like, oh my God, Margaret's missing, Margaret's dead, blah, blah, blah. And then Margaret comes back as a ghost to exact revenge on the person who killed her. There's no way for me to explain just how absolutely gorgeous this book is in every single possible way. This cover, I have never really been a fan of. The vintage cover, stunning. If you are into horror, you haven't read Michael McDowell, first of all, are you even gay? Second of all, how dare you? Speaking of gay, I also wanted to talk to you about this book because I barely talk about it, but that is Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright. I feel like there are certain categories for horror books where it's like, oh, that's like a fun kind of horror book. Oh, that's just like a gory horror book. This is like sad horror. That's how I feel reading it, because there are certain characters that you fall in love with, and then all of a sudden, they're being tortured and they're dead. I don't think I'll ever get over it. I don't think I'll ever forgive Poppy Z. Bright for what they did to me. This is about like a serial killer who like escapes from prison, and then he meets this guy and they're like, oh my God, we're both dudes and we both love murder. And then they plan to murder people. Poppy. I also have The Long Shadows of October, which is perfect for Halloween. This is set around Halloween. This is, I'm not even gonna fuck around with you. I'm not even gonna like stall. This is about a succubus witch ghost. You heard me right. But a succubus witch ghost who wants power. I read this in like a single sitting. It takes no time at all to read. It's so much fun. I can't recommend it enough, if I'm being honest with you. Christopher Triana really was like, what if I showed up pussy poppin'? I'm gonna be saying this the whole video, but like this is like one of my favorite books of all time, and that is True Crime by Samantha Kolesnik. This is the one. This is about Susie and her brother Lim. They kill their mother. Their mother is like abusive and was like sexually abusing Susie. They get the fuck out of town. And it's just about their murder spree. And as their murder tally rises, Susie's mental state spirals into irredeemable madness. This is so fucking good. You have no idea. And I know what you're thinking, Tiffany. You're like, that's the most like boring synopsis ever. Maybe, but don't judge a book by its synopsis. Judge it by me saying that this will change your life. Back to Gaze, Camp Damascus. This is about this girl who is like a soldier for Jesus. She loves Jesus. She loves God and stuff. So she's like, yay, all hail, I was gonna say Satan. That's not who she's hailing. All hail God. You know, like a soldier. But she begins to understand and learn things about her community, Christian God-fearing community, specifically to do with this like gay conversion camp. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say too much. This is so crazy. I honestly want to like reread it because it was so much fun. I also have his new book as well, and I'm really excited to read that. So I have this book, and I haven't read it in like years, but I have to mention it just because like when I did read it, I was all about it. And I haven't read any other book by this author that's been as good. Honestly, every other book by her, an ass. That is The Devil Crept In by Anya Alborn. I read this maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, and I was absolutely obsessed with it. This is about this little boy named Jude. Jude is kind of like a loner. He's kind of like a loser. Everybody kind of picks on him, including his like stepdad, which like isn't great. But he has his best friend, his cousin. Also, the main character's name is Stevie. The cousin's name is Jude. Stevie's a loser, and then he has his cousin Jude as his friend. Jude goes missing. It's like such a bummer. Everyone is terrified, especially Stevie, because they're like, what could have happened to this child? And then, thankfully, Jude comes back. But Stevie knows something is wrong with Jude. He's not the same. Something's different. Something's freaky. Honestly, what it is about this book is I love like, oh no, they've gone missing. Oh wait, they came back, but they're different. I love those kinds of books / movies. I also love a creepy kid, which this has. This is honestly the only slay from Anya, in my opinion. Okay, this could be considered more like thriller than horror, but I kind of think it's horror just because of how absolutely like mind-bending, mind-fucky it is. And that is Now You're One of Us by Asa Nonami. This book is freaky, icky, diggy. This is about a girl. She gets married, okay? She gets married, her husband of her dreams. She's living in their family home with like all of his family. A bunch of weird stuff starts happening. And the book is really about whether or not our main character is insane or whether it's the family. Never in a million years would I say, like, yeah, I'm predicting this ending. Another Japanese novel is Confessions by Kane Minato. This is one of my favorite books. I read this, like, I think early on in my booktube journey. This is about a teacher. She walks into class one day. She teaches like elementary school students. She walks into class and she's like, hello everyone, how are you? How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. I also have an announcement to make. I will be stepping down. I will be quitting my job, this job. I won't be teaching here anymore. And the children are like, excuse me, what? Why? We're gonna miss you. What the hell? Don't leave. And she's like, no, I have to leave. Children, I have to, because I know that 2 of you murdered my daughter. I know it was you, Timmy and Ted. I know it was you. From then on, it's like a book of pure revenge. It's crazy. Can't even put into words how crazy it is. This is the kind of book that you would immediately read in one sitting because it hooks you completely. I also want to talk to you about Hunted by Darcy Coates. You could say that this is also more like thriller than horror, but I don't know, it's my video. I can do whatever I want. I loved this book so much, even though I truly believed I wouldn't. I truly believed in my heart of hearts that I was gonna start this book and absolutely hate it the entire way through. And then Darcy had the audacity to come in and be like, what if this was the best thing that's ever happened to you? What if this was like an amazing book for no reason? And that's what happened. Like, it was so good for no reason at all. This is about this girl named Eileen. Eileen goes missing in a forest. She's just poof, gone. Her family are super concerned, especially her brother. Her brother goes into the same woods that she went into, that she went missing in, to look for her, along with his friends. Thus begins like a horror, fight for your life, survival kind of book, along with like a mystery of like, what happened to Eileen? I'm sure many of you have already read this, and like, I totally understand if you have, but that is Tender as the Flesh. I don't think I'll ever be able to reread this book because of like the emotional damage it did to me. I want to be that girl, Tiffany, but I don't think I am. I'm really not. This is about a society where meat is no longer an option. We can't eat cows, we can't eat chickens, none of it. So what do? We start cloning humans and harvesting them for meat. We start eating humans, and we're following somebody who works in one of these like human meat processing plants. That's all I'm gonna say. But Jesus Christ, that book destroyed me. Next up, we have another classic, and that is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I love Shirley Jackson so fucking much. It's crazy, Tiffany. I think she might be like my first girl crush, like legit girl crush, because she was so fucking cool. She's so fucking cool. Anyway, this is about a family. This family have mostly been killed off. There was this incident, really, where everybody was eating dinner and then, oops, soup has been poisoned with arsenic. So most of the family died, except for 2 sisters and an uncle. They live outside of town, and so the people in the town are like, okay, those people are freaky. We don't like them because they're literally like murderers. They murdered their entire family. So everybody hates them. It's about the younger sister. It's a hard book to explain. But once you get into it, it's genuinely one of the best books ever written. It honestly kind of gives me more of like a comfort horror than like actual horror. Next, let's talk about The Elementals by Michael McDowell. We have another Michael McDowell book. We have one more after this one. This one's a bit difficult to explain. It's about a family, or no, it's about 2 families. These 2 families are really, really close, and they have these houses that they've bought that are close together. It's also like on like a sand sort of lot / like dune type of situation. The 2 families, they have these houses next to each other, but between them is this 3rd house that nobody owns that's just like sinking into the sand. The grandmother for one of the families has passed away, so everybody decides to go together to these like vacation houses. It's a weird book. It's hard to explain, but like once you read it, you understand. It's like one of those books. they realize that something isn't right about the third house. It's hard to explain. You know what? I'm not even gonna try anymore. Okay, just read it. It's really good. The third book is The Amulet by Michael McDowell. You've heard me talk about this, I'm sure, so many times. If you haven't, hi, welcome to my channel. This is about this woman who's married to this guy. This guy's like a total fucking douche. This guy's the worst. And then he almost dies. So our main character, Sarah, has to care for him and his mother. And then his mother, her mother-in-law, puts this piece of jewelry, this amulet, out into sort of like civilization. She ends up like giving it to somebody. The thing about this amulet though is that it's like kind of magical in the sense that like anybody who has the amulet, anyone who wears it, instantly becomes like homicidal and like suicidal. So it's not good. And Sarah knows that like her mother-in-law is in connection with this amulet. She just like doesn't know how, but something weird is going on for sure. This used to be my favorite Michael McDowell because it's so fucked up, it's so gory, and I still absolutely love it. It's still like one of my favorite books of all time. You need to read this. If you haven't read this, you absolutely need to. We have 5 books left to talk about. You're gonna be like, Dorline, we get it. You love that book, we know. And I'm just gonna mention it like just one more time. I'm so sorry. No One Gets Out Alive by Adam Neville. This is a chunky book, I know, but hear me out. It's fucking stunning. It's fucking gorgeous. What about that, huh? Did you ever think of that? I don't think so. This is about Stephanie. Stephanie is poor. Stephanie is broke. Stephanie can't afford anything. She just moved out of her house. She just broke up with her boyfriend. She's starting over and she's starting from scratch. Like she is poor, okay? She can barely afford a room to rent in the place that she moves into, but she does, okay? The first night at this new place to live, she notices something scratching her floor, something whispering in the fucking walls. And Stephanie is like, okay, so this place is haunted and I monetarily cannot get out. I have nowhere else to go. Stephanie's fucked. This book is insane. It's one of the books that actually genuinely fucking scared me when I read it. There was no going back. It's so fucking creepy. I can't even describe it to you. It's so scary. This is like an old book, but a good one in my opinion. And that is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. This is very simple. This is about a girl and her boyfriend. They're going to see the boyfriend's parents. It's the first time that the girlfriend is going to meet her boyfriend's parents. The only thing, she's thinking about ending things. I read this in like a single sitting, could not put it down. And it was maybe one of the most confusing, anxiety inducing experiences of my life. We have 3 books left. This is Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuey. Craig has kind of been putting out flops from what I understand, which is like so sad because this book, stunning, gorgeous, masterfully fucking done. Craig with this book proved that he could pussy pop all day long on all of us. So I'm really just waiting for Craig to get back to this kind of vibe. One day, most of the children in the world, dead, died, gone. Everyone, all of the adults, all the parents, all the family members, all the grandparents are horrified, sickened, sad, grieving. They can't do anything about it. Their children are dead. People have to start making mass graves. They're putting body after body that are like in these bags into the graves when suddenly one of the body bags begins to move. And then the zipper comes undone. A little girl sits up, confused. And then another one does the same thing, and another one, and another one. And soon all of the children are back. All of the children come back and everyone is so happy. Everyone's so glad that the kids have come back. The only thing is that the children need blood to survive. The children need a certain amount of blood to survive. More blood than you could possibly give them. But parents, they'll do anything to make it work. This is one of those books that lulled me into a sense of comfortability. And then the book punches you in the face. And it's beautiful, it's genius, I applaud it. I loved it. We have 2 books left. Mary by Nat Cassidy and Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. These are like my Bibles. This is what I think is the best thing in the world. I am obsessed. Nestlings is about a couple who move into this very fancy apartment building. They basically win like a lottery for an apartment in the Deptford, which is this like huge, gorgeous, like beautiful apartment building. They're able to move in. And soon after they move in, they notice that their little baby Charlie starts acting weird, starts acting strange. Anna, our main character, starts to question some things. If you like vampire shit, this is for you. Mary, a whole other beast, entirely different kind of beast. This is about Mary. Mary is this older woman. She's like 50, right? Mary works at this bookstore. She's an older woman. Things are happening. Her life is changing. Her body is going through changes, but she's experiencing something. So she goes to the doctor and she tells the doctor, hey, I've been seeing some things in the mirror. When I look at it, it's not great. So I'll like look at my reflection and everything's fine. And then a moment later, I am accosted with an image of my own rotting body and corpse. And the doctor is like, Mary, you're a fucking old woman. It's probably because you're like menopausal or whatever. Maybe just like stop being fucking old and like that won't happen anymore. What do you think? So Mary leaves the doctor with no idea what the fuck is going on. So she goes to work at the bookstore. You know how she works there. She goes to the bookstore. She's like, hey guys, I'm here for my shift. The manager, who's like 26 years old and like vapes in the back and it smells like a creamsicle, comes up to her. He doesn't do that. I just made that up. But anyway, he comes up to her. He's like, Mary, we're gonna have to fire you because you're old as fuck. Yeah, people aren't gonna wanna come into a bookstore and see like some old broad walking around, like trying to like slowly, walk around. Like, it's sad. Nobody wants to see it, Mary. Me especially. So we're going to fire you. And like, maybe this is illegal, but I also know that you're like meek and like annoyingly polite. So you probably won't do anything about it. So yeah. You're old, by the way, just so you know. Okay, thanks. So Mary goes back home. She is devastated by the whole day. And then she gets a phone call from her Aunt Nadine. And her Aunt Nadine's like, hey, bitch, need you to come back to the hometown because I need help. You're going to do it, okay? Mary being like, well, I don't have a fucking job. It's like, fine, I'll do it, whatever. That's really where the book begins. This book, life-changing. Life-changing. You will read this and then think to yourself, wow, all of my mental illnesses have been cured. That's how I felt after reading it. That's the video. Those are the 27 books that I wanted to recommend you for this spooky season. I think I'm going to do a part 2 to this video, talk about more horror books that I gave 5 stars to. And yeah, don't forget, my friends and my family, my familia, to hit subscribe, okay? Because we talk about spooky shit. We talk about creepy shit. We talk about how I'm just a baby. And shit. I hope you have a wonderful day. It was so good seeing you. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're literally slaying. I'm sure you are. What do you think of my shirt, by the way? I didn't even mention it. I bought it because I'm an alpha. I'm a baby girl alpha. And I thought it would fit my personality. So just because I know that like I'm an alpha and like a lot of you are probably like omegas or whatever. Anyway, bye. I'll see you later.
Through the night and morning, when the rain is pouring, you're the one I'm calling. You're my escape from my darkest days. And when the sun is shining, you know we out here riding, chasing the horizon.